The first full moon after the spring equinox is the time for the Panguni festival. This is a wedding festival, a celebration of the god Murugan's wedding. Murugan is the son of Shiva and the goddess Kali. Murugan is the god of war, and you'll find that the Murugan festival is actually a time of initiation for young men who pierce their bodies, not only in dedication to the god, but also to show their own strength and their fortitude, especially with regard to their possible pending nuptials. I guess if a little bit of physical pain under the influence of a deity can be endured, so can 20 years worth of marriage. Some of the piercings that you see in the bodies of these young men are quite remarkable. There are lances called vel that are placed into the bodies, and as you can see in this one, the vel are all over this gentleman in very intricate patterns. There is also a lacing that happens on some of them, a lacing that takes place with fish hooks. From the fish hooks are strung intricate beading. These vehicles are called Kavadi. The deity comes in and overshadows or influences the person who has chosen to carry the Kavadi. They may spend months preparing for this celebration. Beforehand they may fast for 30, 7 or 3 days, so that when the piercing takes place there is no blood, to show that they are properly prepared. The piercing is placed not randomly in these beautifully intricate patterns all over the young men. They follow the nadis, or the channels for life force energy within the body. These also symbolize a purifying of the nadi. So this person becomes holy, and the ground that they touch is holy, and their progress towards their temple is holy. These young men will carry these very heavy Kavadi several kilometres towards the Murugan temple, whilst dancing enthusiastically despite all of the self-inflicted wounds. People who are carrying the Kavadi, who are dancing with the beads, seem to be able to have greater movement, they have greater freedom of movement, rather than the ones who are pierced with the lances or the vel. So quite often the most enthusiastic dancing comes from the people carrying the vel that have the beaded lacing. As you can see, it's a long way to the temple. The peacock feather is the symbol of the god Murugan. During this festival, peacock feathers are everywhere, regardless of what deity you have dedicated your body to. Here we have 2 young gentlemen who are being initiated with vel. You can see that there are marigolds through which the vel have passed. The marigolds actually have an antiseptic property as well as a consecrating property, because the colour of the god Murugan is yellow. These vel are very, very heavy and are decorated with lights, beading, and some of them are 3 and 4 times the height of the boy carrying them. Though we say boy, it is traditionally an initiation rite that happens around the age of 16. We notice that there were men of all ages in the festival. This essentially is a tantric process, a weaving of the energies of the male and the female to create a holy or a sacred space. The sacred space inhabits the individual and therefore is very auspicious for the family. And the family come out and support each of these chosen individuals on their journey right from the piercing place, the several kilometres down to the Murugan temple. The piercing process is incredibly fascinating. It is a process called nyasa, or placement. In other words, placement of the deity inside the person. There are many different ways of enabling nyasa. You can place your hand over the different parts and chakras within the body while invoking mantras, or simply visualize the energy of that deity entering the body of the supplicant. Thousands of people turn out in support of these young men as they weave their deity into their existing being. They go into trance to transform this energy, but some not too much to say hello. Thousands gather to give support to the young men as they take this Tantric initiation. This gentleman walking on these shoes of nails was 70. This gentleman has hooks completely through the flesh on his back. He is towing an image of Shiva. As can be seen, sometimes when they are pulling these statues that are on their trolleys, the trolleys get stuck. Right? The family is very quick to lend a hand to help this gentleman over all the bumps in life's highway. As you can see here, they're helping him get over the cracks that are in the paved area that is the piercing tent. I'd also like to draw your attention to here the young boy ahead of the gentleman with the hooks, with the heavy silver balls pinned to his back. Many of the Kavadi are very tall, 18 to 20 foot and more sometimes. This is to facilitate the easy downward motion of the gods into possessing the people who are carrying the Kavadi. This is very like the poto tempo of Voodoo ceremonies. Indeed, a lot about this ritual and the possession of people reminds us of Voodoo ceremonies. As the sun is setting, the scene intensifies within the piercing tent. The last of the people to have their initiation are preparing to make their walk to the Murugan temple. We tried to blend in, but we were a little conspicuous, as we were the only Caucasians at this festival. Everybody else was obviously Hindu of Indian extraction. Surprisingly, there was not one Chinese person that we saw there, even though the majority of Singapore is populated by people of Chinese extraction. Inside the tent was an assault on the senses. Drumming from several bands of drummers eventually blended into one swaying rhythm. The colours, the sounds, incense everywhere as people prepared, going through elaborate initiation rituals, these gentlemen smearing themselves in ash and smudging themselves with incense in honour of the god Shiva. The piercing work is done by priests. It is done quickly and efficiently. There is no blood, not from the big hooks that pierce somebody's back, right through to the fine needles that pierce the cheeks and the tongue. It is said that the initiate only bleeds if he is not prepared correctly for his initiation ritual. And as you can see here, the experienced priests weave the fish hooks and beads into elaborate, beautiful beadwork that honours the deity that the initiate is embodying and carrying. We passed hundreds of Kavadi, but as you can see, there are still hundreds of Kavadi to leave the piercing tent. As with everything sacred, attention to detail is everything. These Kavadi are intricately woven into the actual individual. There is no separating themselves from the deity that they carry and that they embody. The pain is transmuted into an initiation experience where the individual is transported and becomes the deity that they are carrying. Under the Kavadi, it acts like a protective cocoon that wraps them in the energy of the deity that they wish to embody. These piercings are not done at random. They follow the nadi lines within the body, the flow of the life force energy, and literally the individual's nadi or life force is interwoven with that of the deity. Attention to detail is everything, and as you can see, the results are astoundingly beautiful. Let's take a closer look at the same gentleman having his tongue pierced. It is done swiftly and efficiently by the priest, and again a major nadi line is opened up by this piercing process. He will now remain with his mouth open and his tongue extended for the full journey all the way to the Murugan temple, which is several kilometres and may take more than an hour. The family are essential to give support as they make their journey on the way. The mouth is moistened and anything that they need or desire is anticipated, and the family and friends support them on their journey. And a final blessing is administered before he departs. Though this is a Murugan festival and a wedding festival, images of the goddess Kali are everywhere. The goddess Kali, Parvati or Shakti, presented her son Murugan with a lance revel to vanquish the evil demon army of Tarakasura. Therefore, this process of Thaipusam, or being pierced, becomes a celebration of the victory of good over evil. That's why all these young men are so happy about being mutilated for an initiation. That and other gifts that Murugan gives. The god Murugan not only grants freedom from pain, which is an essential for a soldier who is fighting in a battle, as Murugan is the god of war, but Murugan also grants strength. Immense strength was obvious when you look at all the initiates, not only carrying these huge structures on their shoulder that are made out of iron and then overlaced with electrical lights and cables and huge wooden deities on top. And they dance around as if they weigh nothing, and they'll be dancing this way for kilometres all the way to the Murugan temple. Yet for others, the trance that they enter makes them take a slow pace. Here we gain a closer view of the cheek piercing ritual. First of all, the cheek is anointed with Voodoo. Voodoo is a sacred ash that cleans and purifies the area, both on a physical and a spiritual level. The family cheer them on, support them with water and the mundane things of life. And then the priest takes the piercing instrument and very quickly and efficiently pierces their cheeks. Remarkably again, there is no blood and no obvious pain. The drumming, the chanting, the smells, the sights, the colours, it is so easy to be overwhelmed, and this whole atmosphere produces that effect, as you can see within the initiates. Some things are a little bit more remarkable than others, and we are about to gain a very up-close and personal experience with the goddess Kali. Here we can see this initiate having his third eye ritually pierced. The effects are immediate. He goes into an instantaneous trance and is immediately connected with his chosen deity, in this case the goddess Kali. Regaining his consciousness, he signals that he is ready for the next round of piercing. But as that piercing begins, the pain is transformed into an instant connection with the goddess Kali, who manifests through him. This is very auspicious, and a large crowd begins to gather around this gentleman. Kali signals to the crowd that she has indeed entered the body of this gentleman with her signature tongue that would make Gene Simmons proud. Here we have painless fire eating, another sure sign that the deity has inhabited the body of this gentleman. The family move closer because as the deity leaves the body of this individual, fainting is quite common. A chair is asked for and they all rush to his aid. But all is well, and he signals he is ready to continue. He is about to have his cheeks ritually pierced. It's also encouraging to see little signs that these are ordinary individuals having an extraordinary experience. The cheeks are prepared with vibhuti. The priest's hands begin to shake as a manifestation of the goddess Kali in her hysteria is transformed into reality by the pain of the initiate. The pain is transformed into a mystical window by which the deity may enter the initiate. Regaining himself, he signals that he is ready to continue. end cap is placed on the spike to take on a decorative quality. The cheeks then need to be spread so that the initiate can feel comfortable with the bar in the mouth. Then the vertical tongue spike is placed through the tongue outside the other spike. This will prevent the initiate being able to withdraw his tongue at all during the walk to the Murugan temple. This priest seems a little more nervous and a little less deft of hand than other priests we've seen performing this same spiking ritual. Perhaps it is simply because he is working with the strong energies of the goddess Kali. The energy of the goddess Kali being channeled here is tangible and palpable. Our guest camera person, Olivier Henry, could feel it. One might be forgiven for thinking this is all elaborate ritual play acting, except for one thing. This energy coming through is so auspicious. People step forward in the crowd expecting a transmission, and they receive it. The same ogling eyes, the same lolling tongue, the same expressions, the same hand gestures, the same dance movements. This is not just contagious hysteria. Something has been passed here, and I want some of it too. So I line up with the rest of the crowd for a transmission from the channeled goddess Kali. People are falling over, experiencing the same Kali energy. I stand in line as people push in front of me, but the priest grabs me and pulls me forward so that I may receive the transmission. Come forward, he says. Get the white girl, let her in. And so I bless his feet, And he leans forward and gives me a transmission.